Are you waiting for your partner to come, hoping that things are going to get better? This looking for hope, searching up different things on Google and asking ChatGPT, it seems pretty harmless, but it's actually a trap that we all kind of fall for at that point. The reason why is because it keeps you stuck, not taking action. And all the meantime, your relationship is just falling apart. So in this video, I'm going to aim to provide the steps that you need to create your own hope. No more waiting. My marriage collapsed. I found a program. I became a coach. I actually loved helping. Now, I'm writing a book and running this YouTube to share the lessons. Oh, and I did save my family. Now, stay with me to discover how you can grow some real hope from within and transform your relationship back to what you would much prefer. If you want more free tools, by the way, on how to navigate these kinds of really tough relationship challenges, these really clutch moments, there's a link in the description with a free guide to help you start taking some steps on your journey. Now, let's talk about the trap of external hope. Why waiting for a miracle is a losing game. One powerful story that kind of helped me snap out of this is the parable of the drowning man. I also refer to this one as sloth, not because we're lazy, but because we are outsourcing our hope. We're waiting for others to tell us it's going to be okay instead of just making it so. So, in this story, there is a man of faith, and he's in a great flood. There's like storm clouds, the rain's hammering down, lightning crashing in the sky. And he finds himself on the roof of a church, and he keeps going higher and higher up the church as the water level rises. And all this time, he's praying for something to save him. He's expecting that if he just keeps holding on to hope, that something will save him, God in this case. So a boat comes by, and guy with his rowing boat, and he says, "Mate, hop in. The water's just going to keep rising, and I can't stick around. Hop in, man." And the guy says, "Nope, God will save me." He's waiting for something that's gift wrapped the way that he's expecting it, for that hope. And so the guy paddles off. And the next boat comes along. Guy's got all of his rough weather gear on. He's in his tinny. He's in his little boat with the outboard motor on the back of it. And he says to this guy, like, "You better get in, buddy. I haven't got that much fuel. I can't be hanging around here. The storm just keeps getting worse. You got to hop in." And the guy says, "No, it's okay. You keep going. I know God will save me." And so, same thing again. The guy just throws up his hands. I don't know what to say. The next thing that comes along is a helicopter, a rescue chopper. The pilot brings the helicopter in as close as she can get to the church steeple. Bad weather, can't stay out here much longer. And this guy's yelling down. He's got his harness on. He's ready to come down and rescue this guy. But he said, "No, I'm good. God's going to save me." And you can guess how this story goes. The guy is hoping for the external, and the guy drowns in the end. And you can see like his God up in the sky saying, "What the fuck, my son?" And that's essentially what he says when this guy gets to the pearly gates. He comes on into heaven because he wasn't a bad guy, maybe not the smartest, but he comes up to God and he's like, "God, I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I was kind of expecting that you would save me there." And God says, "Did you not see the boat, the motorboat, the helicopter? 3 times I tried to save you there." And so what we're seeing is that we could end up easily missing all the opportunities to save our relationship because we're waiting for her feelings to change. We're waiting for fate or just like blind luck. So she's just going to suddenly wake up one morning and think that I want to fix things. As soon as we do that, we're surrendering all of our power and we're missing the opportunities that are just sailing by us. But if the only hope that we look for, the only hope that we want, the only hope that we will acknowledge or care about or give two shits about either way, the only thing that we focus on is that hope that we generate from within. So this is what can happen due to my words, my actions, my responsibility. And I don't just mean responsibility in the sense of what am I supposed to do and what's my fault. I mean responsibility in the purest sense, that anyone who is in a position of taking agency over their life, they want to choose to be the hero instead of the victim, well, they realize that they have an ability to respond. Okay, so that gets us out of this sloth. We're suddenly, instead of making excuses, we're focused 100% on what we can do. We can get into the fucking helicopter. Okay, so if waiting for rescue is not the option, if external hope is a trap, how do we start to cultivate genuine progress that can inspire hope in us? Because, like, genuinely, what truly builds hope, what actually gets people out of feeling hopeless, is seeing progress, even tiny, tiny, tiny progress. It doesn't have to be, I have a gold medal, but I do need to see something. And then and that's why picking goals that we can hit and continuing to move forward and move up is so crucial. So how do we do this? So it's about shifting from hope from without to hope from within. Knowing that you have the power to influence your circumstances through consistent, disciplined action. And I think, like I hinted at it before, right? A lot of the time that we feel as though we don't have any power, we feel as though our actions don't make a difference because we've tried talking to, we've tried reasoning with her, we've tried helping more around the house, we've tried being nice and gentle, we've tried holding in that anger or the annoyance, we've tried holding it all, we've tried suppressing what we want and all these kinds of things. So we think we've tried everything and the hope evaporates because we've run out of options that we can think of. I'm here to tell you that there are so many things that I keep seeing this example given, right? So you've got a brick. And if you give some people a brick and you say, tell me what you would do, what you could do with this brick. And they'll think to themselves, well, I can build a wall with a brick. That's it. You use a brick to build a wall. That's convergent thinking. Here is the one right answer for this question, and the thinking stops there. Someone who thinks divergently, though, someone who's choosing to source that hope from within, they look at the brick and they say, well, a pen holder, I can use it to prop up a book. I can use it to stop the door. Divergent thinking, taking our focus away from the things we don't control back to the things that we could potentially do. And suddenly we realize that there are hundreds and hundreds of things that we can do. Suddenly we realize that hope's everywhere. It's been around us the whole time. We only had to reach for it. Just like the boats going past and the helicopter coming down. We have the power to influence our circumstances through consistent and disciplined action. Consistent, meaning I'm taking action on this every single day, on the good days and the bad days, on the days when it feels like it's working and on the days when it feels like nothing's moving forward at all. But what kind of practical steps then can you take to make this self-generated hope into a reality, even when you're faced with massive setbacks? Well, an example of someone who did this, right? A client of mine, he found himself caught in this cycle of feeling a bit overwhelmed and hopeless and beating himself up after a very unproductive conversation with his wife where he had really chased after her. He'd hunted for answers about their relationship. And he recognized that he had a pattern of doing this because I'd been harping on it with him. Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Doing the same thing again and expecting a different result. And it just left him feeling pretty shit and hopeless. So to break this cycle, to get somewhere, you can't solve our problems with the thinking that you use to create them. An Albert Einstein quote. So to break this cycle, he needed to channel that energy, decided to shift his focus from dwelling on that lack of hope to taking some steps. He drew some inspiration from one of the books that I recommend to people is Atomic Habits, and he committed to consistently spending at least 2 minutes a day on the steps that he would take in accordance with the course, such as, for example, diligently making structured fucking notes, as he put it, in his words, in his journal. He understood that while negative emotions could compound negatively over time, that he could actively shift to a positive by focusing on those consistent small efforts. His journal became a tool to prevent him from going around in circles, allowing him to turn all that turmoil into a blueprint for progress to overcome his tendency towards inaction. So, this is where reinterpretations become the most potent tool in the toolbox. Instead of allowing our negative emotions to spiral, you proactively spot where we're going wrong, where we are falling into the same old patterns of thinking that haven't served us, where we have become hopeless because we've tried the same thing too many times. And instead, we realize that no, it's not good enough to rely on that old thinking anymore. We pull that thinking up into our conscious thinking and we rephrase it. We reinterpret it. Okay. And then once we've done that, we've written it out like, here's what I've been thinking. Here's how it's really screwed me over. Here's what I'm going to think instead and why. And then we push that down into our subconscious again. So that's what comes up the next time. This is a reinterpretation. We're changing our interpretations, and our interpretations shape our emotions that come up. And then those emotions shape the actions that we take. Because that's all of our motivation and everything is shaped by those emotions. So by changing what comes up, we change what we do. So the goal isn't to suppress our feelings anymore when we learn this. It's to transmute the way that we think about things into more motivation for doing the right thing, doing stuff that actually helps. So we're turning that negative energy into fuel for positive action. So I'll go over the steps, okay? So step 1, like I said, we observe our emotions without judging what we're feeling. Let's keep it relevant to like this feeling of looking for hope from somewhere, okay? So you're feeling like nothing you do makes any difference. Maybe she'll change her mind, okay? So we observe that. We don't judge that as good or bad. That's just how we feel at the moment. So we don't feel like doing anything. We feel like maybe just sitting on the couch. We don't even feel like picking up our phone. We just feel blank. So we just sit in those emotions. And that's going to allow all the unconscious patterns and all the different thoughts about it to come to light. Obviously, you don't want to get into a panic. You don't want to get into a really negative state, but you want to let it all come up to some point, okay? The second step, step 2, is where we reinterpret. So we actually write out the words of our thinking, like what's been happening. And then, like I said, how that's been messing me up. So like me feeling as though there's nothing I can do has prevented me from taking action so many times. And I didn't say anything to her when she was leaving the other night. And I really could have. I could have told her, I understand why you feel that way, and made her feel understood. I could have done that, but I didn't because I'd already felt like there was nothing I can do. So that's how this is messing me up. And so then we've written that out, right? And it helps us to realize there, like that when we're talking about how much it's messed us up, how absurd these voices, these subconscious voices, this old thinking is. We're really making it clear to ourselves how silly the way we've been acting is, so that we can get ourselves out of that next time. And then what I'm going to shift to is when I see these opportunities, I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to do what I can do. I'm not going to try and control her reaction or anything like that. I'm just going to do what I can do with whatever I've got. And that's enough. That's 100% responsibility for my 50% of the problem. And then the next thing that we do is, we've written this all out, right? What's the thinking? What's the voices that kind of in our head? What's this old subconscious thought pattern? Then how it's been messing us up, and then what we're going to do instead. We've written that all out, and then we actually just record it into your phone. You probably got like your voice recorder or something. I would just record something on there, just try and deliver it with some emotion. Let that out. Remember, we said at the beginning in step 1 that we want to let the feelings come without judging them. Let the feelings come out during this process of reading out what you've written as well. Don't judge the emotions. Don't. It's not cringe. It's helpful. Okay. A lot of things that seem dumb, they just seem dumb because we're not familiar with it. We're not used to it. There's nothing cringe about fucking bettering yourself. Okay. Using that tone, not just reading it like a script. Yeah. The cat sat on the. We actually just put some feeling into it. Don't have to get the words exactly how you wrote them down. That's not important. Get some feeling into it. And that's going to make it personal and impactful. The next thing you're going to do is that in step 4, we're going to actually program this new belief in to replace the old. And that literally just means every day you're going to play that recording to yourself through some headphones or something. It might be like a 3-minute recording. It might be like a 5-minute recording. So you're walking to the shop to grab a coffee, or you're in the car heading to work. Play it once. You're stressing out at work. Go and play it. Go and put your headphones on and just play it as you walk around the building or something. And this is going to have a massive effect over the next week of continuing to pull that old thinking up out of your unconscious, change it, shift it, reinterpret, and then put it back into your unconscious again. So when these things come up again, you'll be ready to just interpret it differently and feel differently so you can act differently. This is real change. This is how real change can happen. And the other amazing thing about this is that if you are in a rough spot, if you are actually having a really hard time, you can also get this recording out and use it to rescue yourself. So I call this an auto-suggestion, and something that helped me massively when I was on my journey. So this is it's gonna give you like a bit of a shield against the rough feelings that stop you from being able to be that hero who can take responsibility, that stop you from taking action, that stop you from focusing on building that hope from within. Your interpretations are going to lead to your emotions, going to lead to your actions. You're allowing your actions towards your partner to change, because they will change without you actually making a conscious effort. Your interpretations will change your actions. And that's going to speak so much louder than any words that you could possibly say. And this readiness that you're going to have when you've made these shifts is going to prepare you to finally engage with her in a way that truly begins to build safety, and it creates an invitation for her to come closer to you for a change, instead of feeling I've got to get the hell away from this guy, which is the place that a lot of people find themselves. So to summarize the takeaways, we've learned that escaping this particular trap means really rejecting any desire for external hope. We want to embrace the power of hope that's generated wholly from within by taking consistent action, consistent steps. And we systematically build that shield that I talked about through those reinterpretations. And so to reiterate the importance of all this, these insights are a massive core of what I teach and what I've used to help people. And this is because they really allow you to finally thrive, not just survive. So this is really internal mastery. It's what makes you resilient. It's what makes you attractive, especially when you can use that divergent thinking that I talked about. Massively attractive to a partner. Someone who's willing to take responsibility, even though something's not their fault, and they can find interesting, creative solutions, and they're thriving enough to see the whole thing as a challenge instead of a threat. And so it makes you genuinely powerful getting to this place. It allows you to approach challenges with controlled compassion and a really unwavering resolve, because, like I said, you're just seeing them as challenges now. You're not seeing them as a threat anymore. You're not seeing it as like another wave that might wash you off the roof of the church. You're just like, yeah, I'm going to hop in that helicopter. I know exactly what I'm doing. My actions will save the day. So in closing, if you found any value in this, please subscribe for more insights on saving your relationship. And look, to leave it here, remember, there's no fate but what we make for ourselves. It's a Terminator quote. Your journey to a transformed relationship is just going to start with proactive steps that you take. No one takes them for you. You take it today, you fuel it by an unwavering belief in your power, agency, responsibility to change, to do things, and dedication to loving the journey of your life, regardless of what is on offer. All right.